Come on, celebrate the Lord, somebody. Hey, I can feel you. Celebrate the Lord, somebody. Hallelujah. So let me share a brief story of how GLC started, in case you don't know it before. Amen. And Father, have your way tonight. Let nobody's life remain the same. You told the children of Israel to write these things down. They should present it to their children's children. That is why we have the Bible. It becomes a revelation for the future. We know that everything I'm about to share with your children is a revelation for their next level. If you have helped this ministry, help everyone under the sound of my voice. Don't let this just be a story. Let everybody have an encounter. Thank you, precious Lord. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen. My name is Richard Osanaiye. Amen. Amen. Some of you call me Osanaiye. No, I'm not Osanaiye. I'm Osanaiye. Amen. So my name is Richard Osanaiye Mayokun. And I'm the global senior pastor of GLC GLOBAL. Amen. And I want to share with you briefly how I started what I'm doing and how we got to where we are today. And trust God that maybe Sunday I will tell you where God is taking us to. Come on, be seated. God bless you. So in case you don't know my name, so I just introduced myself to you. So I'm from Ogbe in Kogi State. I'm from the family of, we call it 8. My dad, my mom, then 6 siblings. So I'm the last born, the number 6. So I have 4 sisters and a brother. And I grew up in Ogbe, Kogi State. It was a very humble setting and a very village area where majority of the people are farmers. And anyone that looks a bit better is a teacher. And mostly in primary school. So we have more teachers in primary schools than in secondary school. My mom was a teacher. My dad was a teacher. And usually their salaries are not usually enough for them. So my mom had what you call side hustle. She had a side business. She used to sell clothes. But those clothing she sells is not usually everyday markets. She sells more in festive period. So in between the months, so she has to do some other things. Sometimes she will buy oil, keep, buy it when it's cheap, sell while it's expensive. And she sells, there was a time she sells fuel because there's no filling station around that place. So, or you call it gas station. So she will buy the fuel in keg. People come to our house to buy fuel and she sells red oil. My mom sells almost everything. She sells kerosene. And we used to sell it in bottle. You know, all these 3 bottle, the old cooler bottle, you know, all those kind of stuff. And we have Igo Kikiri, we have Igola. Then the major one I was part of was bread. She also sells bread. And because there are no bakery in our place, so the company will bring bread into the village and we will buy the bread in bulk, keep somewhere and be reselling. Sometimes the bakery comes once a week. So any bread we buy in bulk, we sell for another 1 week. You know. And we have foam that we use to sandpaper the side of the bread. Amen. So we have developed different strategies to make it fresh. You know, there is a wooden crate where you arrange it, keep it, and you must not expose it to air, else it becomes, you know, they are just these strategies for keeping it. So I grew up like a pet of the house. So I have all kinds of pet names, like the last born of the house. This neighbor we carry, this neighbor we carry, this neighbor we carry. You know, they even borrow me, carry me to, you know, those kind of stuff like that. So, and I wasn't like someone that was planned to be given birth to according to what I had, because my dad doesn't want a lot of children. He just wanted just maybe 3 or 4. But since my mom kept on giving birth to girls, so it became a big concern for my mom to make sure she has a male child in the house because of pressure. So after all said and done, she gave birth to my brother, and my dad felt like, okay, it's okay. And my mom insisted that she doesn't want my brother to be alone. They wanted a partner for him. That's what she told me, you know. And my dad said it does not matter. So she got pregnant again, gave birth to another guy, but shortly after the birth of that guy, the guy died. So it was enough reason for my dad to say, hey, let us do it again. My mom insisted that there must be another one. To God be the glory. But I was this one from heaven that if my mom didn't give birth to me, someone else will have given back to me. I believe. So maybe I will have come from Mami Akiloye, who knows? Or maybe I will have come from, I don't know. Maybe I will have been your elder brother directly. Because somehow, I think our purpose precedes us. So who give birth to us is just a channel for us to come to the face of the earth. But you have been predetermined whether they like it or not. You know, and somehow I stroll in, and the response is to name me Mayokun, Oluwamayomiku. So it was a revelational name, not just what you stumble into by design. And my grandfather named me Olamileko. In other words, it's an increase to the family. So I grew up in that environment where we don't have toilet in our houses. We used to go to the bush to go use toilets. And you wake up in the middle of the night, you want to ease yourself, you have to open the main door to go to the backyard of the house to ease yourself, to go back inside, and none of it like that. My village is such a village that if one person died in the village, the whole village mourn. If one person died in the village, you don't hug the following day. You go hug the following day. When somebody died, you are hugging. It's such an enclosed, small village. While I was in that village, I'm not sure the houses in my village is up to 300. I'm not sure. Or maybe a thereabout. And majority of them are made with mud. The ones that are not made with mud are built with mud, but they plaster with cement. But inside it is mud. While I was growing up, I still enter houses that does not have mattresses. They just built something with mud close to the wall and lay a mat on it, and people will sleep on it. I still entered houses that the entrance is not up to 2 feet. It's not up to 6 feet. Maybe like 5 feet where you have to bend down to enter into the house. And the best of the houses in those days, in my village, there was one story building, which was the best house in my village in those days, and the decking was wood. So when you are walking on here, you'll be hearing boom, 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 boom. You know. And while you are downstairs and somebody is upstairs, you can actually be seeing particles of sand falling off from that kind of place. Until people start rising up, build houses, and all of it like that. Now, long story short, I left that village to go to secondary school in Kogi State, Egbe. And I've been very inquisitive as a child, and I wanted to be a big boy early. So I met these guys that came from rich family, and we became friends. And one of them started giving me the vibe of the city, and one of the vibes is that we should buy a gun. And we were contributing to buy a gun when I was in SS2. It's a pistol. So we were to get it from an army barracks, and what do we want to use it for? So we just keep it so that people will know that they cannot chalo us anyhow. And it will take me to Babalawo's house to do, I don't even know what we're looking for. We're looking for what was not lost. It's either he has a girl that is not saying yes to him, he wants to go and collect something so that the girl will say yes, or let's collect something so that they cannot beat us, we'll fortify ourselves. You know. We were just one-man army. So, when I got to SS2, I became a prefect, and somehow they made me a Greek prefect. And that a Greek prefect does not have portfolio. Because somehow the school used to have a very big farm. But at the time that I was a prefect, I was no longer a farm. But they still give out prefects for agriculture. So I had an office, but there was no portfolio. So I was just everywhere. So somehow, because of that, I had access to some offices of the teachers and principal to do some few things. So there was a day we stumbled into the booklet of exam sheets. Report sheet. The report sheet in those days used to be in they used to put it in booklet, so you can cut it. And maybe the way they used to printing is not like this in those days, where you can just put in your printer, print out, but they will take it to printer and print in bulk. So maybe they can use that for like 5 years. And there's this, you see, 4 paper, you call it, so that the next one can have a duplicate of the original. So we found a whole booklet that contained almost like 200 to 500 empty report sheets. So that was how I took it. And I started selling it to make money. So I sold to a lot of students, raised some money, and do big boy. And then my friend said, beyond us selling it, let us also make ourselves a result. So going to SS3, we made ourselves result. So I made the result, very beautiful, outstanding result. My result from SS2 going to SS3 was not so good. I think I have one F9 in one particular course, I can't remember. A couple of E's and some few C's like that. But I was not like that before. I was better. But don't forget, I've been distracted a lot in that SS2. So I can't let my father see that result because my father is a teacher and a disciplinarian. If he sees that result, he will tell me to repeat SS2. He will say I can't pass WAEC. So I knew the kind of father I have that. If he sees this result, school didn't tell me to repeat, but my dad, how many of us have a father like that? School doesn't have to tell you to repeat. He will tell you stay there. You know, that was the kind of father I have. So because I knew he's done it to my brother before, so my case may not be different. So I forged that result, make it very good, and I came back home, presented it. He loved it. He was so excited about it. That, wow, you are ready for WAEC now. And the next thing that happened was, because there was this part of me that, despite the fact that we were doing bad things, every Thursday we see fast, because before my mom died, she used to, I'm missing a storyline. I'm going somewhere so that you can understand where I'm coming from and why I'm doing what I'm doing, so that you're not going to think that this guy just stumbled into what he's doing. So my mom was my best friend growing up because I was the last born of the house. So I kind of had more bonding with her. And at least we sleep on the same bed for, I think, since till she died. She died 2001 while I was in SS2, yes. Going to SS3, yeah. Okay, by this time I'm talking about these stories, my mom was still alive. So somehow, I'm not jumping ahead of myself yet. So my sister one day was looking for something in my bag. And she was looking for a sheet of paper. She wanted to write something. I think my dad needed something to write something down. So he asked my sister to go get a sheet of paper. And I was the only one in secondary school at the time. So my sister just reached out to I have a folder to pick an old exercise book so that she can, just go there and tear a sheet of paper. So she now, the book she wants to tear a sheet of paper from, that was where I kept the original results. Now, the reason I kept mine was because I still don't like that kind of lifestyle. All my friends tore their own report sheets, and they asked me to tear mine. I said, no, I can't tear it. I kept it somewhere. I'm sure if I check my father's room, the 2 results will still be there. And my sister found it and looked like, the result she saw the day before yesterday is different from this one. And then my sister had been born again since she was in GSS 3. And amazingly, she's still born again till now. I have never seen that my sister lied before. And I'm seeing it under God. I have never. We grew up hearing her pray, and she will be shaking on the bed from GSS 3. She did FCS in secondary school. What did she not do? She higher institution the same way. She was just an amazing person. So she was not the type that would see that kind of thing and hide it. She believed by faith that you don't hide sin. Anybody misbehaving in the house is the one that reports, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you do things having her in mind. She's worse than my father. You know. So she saw it and she just carried it and went straight. And she was already ranting. How can that time she was in an institution? How can he do? And she's always speaking English. How can he do such a thing? I think she actually read English. How can she do such a thing? My dad said, what? He said, look at these results. And in the house, we all have files where we keep results. So my dad just reached out to pick my file to bring out another result. The same date, but different contents. Third time. But the content inside is different. Same date. What's happening here? So I didn't know what was happening. I just stumbled into the house in the evening trying to do my thing. And he just called me and said, come. Explain these two things on this table. The thing that came to my heart is that I'm dead. And my dad is such a disciplinarian that he will never even allow you to play ball. My dad will never allow you to go to the next compound to play with the neighbors. And my mom allows us when my dad is not around. When my dad used to drive Volkswagen B2. So when he's coming, we already, he has this eye sound. From some kilometers away, the sound of your father, the sound of his car. So it's just like maybe a cat do meow and every rat. So my mom positioned us like that. If you don't hear, she will be shouting, your daddy is coming. So you will run to go and maintain. But sometimes you can't hide your track because your leg, you are sweating. And you just be looking at it like, oh God. But I'm sure he knows, but sometimes we just overlook it. So I knew the kind of person he is that I am a dead man. I mean, dead man. I can't say anything, I was just looking. Explain. I was looking. My sister was screaming, explain. Then my dad just looked up and said, did you mean you have started to forge results at your age? And he said, I used to believe in you. He said, you disappointed me. And I saw him sobbing in tears and he stood up from where he sat. Till today, he never spoke to me about it again. And I watched him cry from around 6 p.m. till daybreak. We slept in the same room that day, on another bed in another corner. I kept on hearing my dad till daybreak. I never knew what I did was that way. So I began to cry too. Then he said, why are you crying? Will you get out of this room? To where in the middle of the night? So from that day, I lost intimate relationship with him. We don't talk. If he comes this way, I go that way. So it was the time they were supposed to get GC form for me so that I will write it before WAEC. And he said he's not going to buy it because I can't pass. This kind of guy can't pass it. So one of my sisters went at the back and bought the form. He had, but he never bothered. And he believed I can't pass. So my mom was not happy with it. And throughout the holiday, my dad and I didn't talk. I would sit this way, we sit that way. If I greet him, he won't answer. I was be 15 years old then or something. 14. I can't forget the day I was to go back to school. Usually he would take me to school to resume. But he didn't take me that day. He left and left me behind. And my village is different from my secondary school. So my mom took me to the park where she's going to get me cab. And you don't have cab like this. We used to use pickup. So we enter pickup. At the back of the pickup, they put bench. So you sit down and hold something because it just be... I entered. I can't forget, she carried one bunch of plantain and he gave to me that. And I remembered from the house to the place we entered the car, the pickup from. She just kept on talking to me that I should please focus. You don't have to do those things. My mom doesn't speak good English. Her English is Yoruba English, anyhow, Warned me intently. And I entered and said bye-bye. But actually, that was the last time I said bye-bye to her. So I got to school. 2 weeks or 3 weeks after, someone just called me that the teacher came to call me that they are reaching out to me that my mother is in a close by hospital close to our school. There's a Egbe hospital. It's the best hospital around that neighborhood. That my mom is there and my dad was there. So I went to that place. Already she was in coma. And she died 2 days after. So it deepened my depression because I've lost relationship with father and mother is gone. So somehow I mourn it. Since there was no friend from anywhere, those my friends that were my friends, so I continue friend with them. So we took it to another level. And, but I will still do the Thursday fasting. So somehow we wrote the GC. I wrote the GC, and when the result came, apparently I passed. They told my sister came to check the result. And I checked the result. I told them my passed. They said it's not true. So they can't trust me. So they sent my sister to go and check the result. So my sister checked and realized the result was good. So I have an uncle who lost relationship with my mom based on some things that happened between them. So he was looking for a way to mend the relationship in her death. So he reached out to my dad that, your son, is he not about to graduate? I want to help him to the University of Ilorin. And he said, well, he's just about to write WAEC. He said, did he write the GC? He said, yes. Is the result good? He said, yes. He said, send it to me. I will file it in for remedials. So I've had admission to University of Ilorin before my WAEC result came out. So it gave me a bit of edge. I never used my WAEC result till today. So I entered University of Ilorin and 100 level, 200 level. And we were looking for courts to join. And somehow, I met this guy that wanted to initiate me into a cult, who was a big boy in the cult. But before the initiation, he told me that he liked a girl, and he needed to pretend that he's born again. So we should go to the girls' church and do like brother. So since in those days people don't like following girl without assistant boyfriend, so I should be the assistant boyfriend. So we went together to this church, and it was a Wednesday like this. Sat at the back. And the preacher was preaching. I looked to the left and right. Very beautiful environment compared to the setting I came from. And he was preaching fire. So fine. So eloquent. What kind of pastor is this? This fine. This sound at the same time. So I was just admiring pastor, looking at. Then look at everybody. Cute people. Well-dressed people. Then at the end of the service, that was when GSM came out. People, they were all putting on their phone. Did everybody have phone here? We don't have phones, even in our level. It looks like you're on another level. So that means they are prosperous in this environment. Who are they? So I heard that they were doing Friday service. I didn't wait for that, my guy, to invite me for Friday. I told him, we are going for Friday. I can't even remember whether I came for the Friday or not, but I went on Friday. It was December. And they were announcing 30 days of glory. 30 days of glory is the 30 days fasting and prayer we do in Koza to start the beginning of the year. So I said I was going to do it. That fasting is normal for me. My mom used to make me fast in those days in primary school before she died. And she will make sure she insists that I fast even while I was in secondary school. So, but I've not done this long one. I want to try it. I'm a bad boy. We still go to party and all of that. But I felt, let's do it. So one of the days, during the fasting and prayer, we come to church every day. So the things I used to do, I don't have time to do them anymore because of that fasting and prayer. Then pastor was preaching. I said, would you like to go back to that previous life you used to live? Isn't this one a better one? Then I was thinking, really, isn't this one a better one compared to the one I was living? That was how I had a change of heart. The person I'm talking about is Bjorn Fatoyibo. And that church is Koza. So, right after, I joined a department called Decoration Department. So the HOD was just this lovely woman. She gave me Purpose, Plan, and Pursuit by Kenneth E. Hagin. Photocopied one. Photocopied it, gave it to me to go and read it. I read it, the thing changed my life. What kind of book is this? Then immediately I devoured it. She gave me yet another one. Then she began to monitor me. So before you know it, I became grounded. I became the best designer in Decoration Department. I would drop the pattern and this. And I was committed, where gifts sit there. Somewhere there. Okay, no, look at, okay, where Olayenka sits. Somewhere there, that's, no, Ayo, where Ayo is sitting. Somewhere there I used to sit, like, people used to sit here, where you guys are sitting with Pastor Mo. Okay, well, let me use this seat as an example. Where we sit here, protocol sits behind. Yes. And where the row, where Dr. Shura Mekon is seated. Yes. That's where I used to sit. And I would sit at the edge where Sister Angela is sitting, exactly in that kind of position. I am always there because I am always like the first to get to church. So nobody need to skip the seat for me. I'm always there. So somehow, I didn't know they noticed me. So one day, the pastor of Koza Lagos, Pastor Flu, all of them were still in learning then, but was a pastor. He just came to meet me at the end of the service and said, "Excuse me, brother, what's your name?" I said, "My name is Richard." He said, "Wow, I used to have this big hair. I mean, my hair very big, tall afro. Then it will be very soft and coily and be shiny black." So I remember I was wearing a Timberland slip-on and the chinos. I love to dress well for a long time. And I was wearing Timberland. The t-shirt also was Timberland. So he said, "Wow, you look very nice." I said, "Thank you. Thank you." And he said, "You're so fine." I said, "Thank you. Thank you." So I was feeling myself like, praise God. Then he said, "Do you know, Pastor, I've been observing you." I said, "Pastor? Observing me?" At that time, I was barely maybe 1 or 2 months in church. He said, "Pastor, or 3 months thereabout, has been observing you. And did you know about protocol department?" I said, "Protocol department?" I said, "Yeah." Protocol department. Yeah. Those guys are Jim in Koza, you know. And Pastor Biodun has always been very protocol. It's not easily accessible. You see every protocol around him. So we used to refer those protocols a lot, you know. And he said, "Pastor said you should come and be a part of the protocol." They don't join protocol department. It's strictly by pastor's invitation. Strictly, Pastor Biodun invited me to join protocol department. How? Then I wasn't excited. I don't want. So he was like, no. But you know, I know you like to dress like this. You know that kind of dress like this. You know, I know you because I will have my chain on, I will have my bracelets on, my hair big. The only thing I don't put earrings. But every other one, if I'm wearing jeans, crop jeans, I'm still born again, but I still want to appear like I used to appear as an unbeliever. I don't want to drop that look. I want to still be born again and still maintain. Then he said, "But," he said, "Next week, did you have a suit?" I said, "No, I don't wear a suit." "Where will I get a suit from?" He said, "You are going to look for." Where will I get a suit from? Then as I was going, he said, "Come." He said, "Then, this your hair?" I said, "Huh?" He said, "It's too much." I said, "You will have to reduce it." "No, don't go there." No, every weekend, I'm in barber shop trying to work on the hair. Every weekend, you know. He said, "You have to reduce this hair." I went there, I reduced it a little. Then the HOD of the protocol called me and told me they used to give them uniform, like the suit and the inner, maybe the pink shirt. Koza has always been so excellent from time. You don't dress anyhow. Every department have uniform for every service. Even as a protocol, the same tie, the same shirt, inner shirt, the same color of suit. And he said, "We are wearing pink shirts in black jacket." I know I have. So I went to buy one fine trouser pants they used to sell in those days. I got pink shirt, but I didn't have suits. So he said they didn't say I should dress, I should wear suits. I said, "I don't have." So I still appear like that. I still want to still maintain they packaged me. They brought me in. They gave me a jacket to wear. So I now remember that my mom bought me one suit, made a tailor to make one suit for me when I was in SS1 going to SS2. So I remembered. So it was close to holiday. So I told the HOD that I should please allow me that I had a suit in the village. When I'm coming, I'll bring it. So I went there, picked the suit. I came back. It was a serious suit. Despite the fact that it was made when I was in SS1, I entered when it entered me. I was coming. And Brother Dami in those days, look at me from afar and say, "Wow!" And he said, why are you looking like winners pastors? I won't forget. So I felt like winners pastor. Even that time, I don't even know what winners is all about. I said, winners pastors. What's winners pastors? So the trouser long, sitting down on my trouser. Very long, sitting down on my trouser. The suit, I will wear it. Now, apparently, I don't like that. I like to dress my way, but that's what they want me to wear. So I wear it and just, this is how we stand in church. And, then later, my sister got married to a lawyer. And he heard that I was a protocol in my church. And he said he was going to give me a suit. So he gave me a Giorgio Armani designer suit. Fine one. But the problem is, it was bigger than me. But I will enter into it. So Brother Dami called me and said, bring that suit. I said, lie, I'm not bringing it. That's the time you let the label stay on the suit. Those are the we know that it's Giorgio Armani. But it swallowed me up. So later we will go to Aboki's joint to buy suits, 1,200 complete suits, buy 500 naira in Challenge in Ilorin. Then a time came, I remained the only protocol in Koza, so I became close, a bit close to Baba, and I will go to his house every Wednesday to wait on him till he gets to church. If he has anything to do, I will assist a few things. And that time, Baba had given Mommy D, they had 2 kids. They have Shindara and Ayomiko. Okay, I think later Omontara came, but Omontara was a baby, you know. And little did I know that destiny was beckoning. Later, Baba moved to Abuja. I was in final year. So I graduated from University of Ilorin. After a lot of frustration towards my final year, I left and wanted to go to Abuja to join Baba, to join Koza. Then Koza just started in Abuja. So at that time, Koza will have started like 8 months, thereabouts. So Mommy D asked me, would you like to follow us to Abuja? I said, of course, I want to go to Abuja. So a lot of people followed them to Abuja. Like Leka Ayinde, like Sister Ayinde, a couple of them that you still see in Koza now, we were all together in Koza Ilorin. Sister Ayo was in treasury. Leka was the one dubbing pastor's message. We were put together in decoration department before. So when they pulled me to protocol, they pulled Leka to dubbing tape. Leka's father used to be a governor. But somehow he would leave the house and be sleeping in church office. You know, he was just a rascal. We were a rascal in those days. You don't leave church environment. My uncle complained and complained. They chase me. They say I'm following a small boy. PB is what they call a small boy. That is a small boy. Why am I following him? I will be doing protocol for a small boy. Be doing security guard. I'll be flexing muscle. That at my level, I'm a graduate. I'm misbehaving. You know, they said a lot of funny stuff. They will lock the gate. I will jump through the fence to get into the compound. A lot of stuff like that just to enter the house. I will stay outside. Shout. Nobody will hear me. At the end of the day, I don't want them to even know I'm outside. But the house boy in the house will not wake up, even if you pour water on his body. So they will see have to be the one that will open the door for me and be looking at me again. Where are you coming from? And you know, Baba all that time loved church a lot. He may not leave church office until 11. So when he leaves the church 11, that is when we'll be going home. And my uncle will be looking like, what kind of church is that? Now you are getting home by 11 p.m. Are you sure it's church? I'm saying, it's church. You know, like that. So, when it was when we were to go for service, there was a woman that just joined Koza Ilorin in those days. She was a medical doctor. So, we all navigated to her to help us, you know. Now, for instance, if you are blessed in this kind of church, thank God now we are like this. At a certain time, when we know each other, if you are very blessed, you will see a lot of people navigating towards you to come and be asking you for things or make you a mentor. Come and be my mentor, because majority of us in Koza in those days were students. And but that woman is a medical doctor, so we float around her a lot. You will see in the car park like this, you will see all of her mommy. The one in the dash money. The one in the, you know, that kind of. So you are privileged to be in that kind of position. If you are that kind of person, you are there today. So she promised that she's going to help a lot of us with our posting to Abuja. That she knows some people that she can talk to. So we have submitted my name. Please, Abuja, let's go and continue this work there. At that time, I was already the HOD of a department. I was already HOD of benevolence department, like Sparkles and GSC. We used to call it benevolence in Kuza then, but now they call it Sparkles now. But in those days, it used to be benevolence department. So, and somehow, the posting did not work. I landed in Ogun State. I cried. Mommy, didn't you do it? They said, okay, they will help me do it. Maybe when I get to camp. Somehow, they couldn't do anything about it. So, I hate the fact that I was in Ogun State. While my mates are in Abuja, I'm supposed to be a protocol. See, left to me alone, I may not even serve. I love PB so much. Forget service, but okay, let me just finish this service and move to that place. So, there was a day. I saw some people were shouting and clapping somewhere. And you know, while I got to orientation camp, in Koza, I'm in prayer department, I'm in everywhere. I pray in tongue a lot. I came to camp with books. Because Pastor Biodo has washed my brain off for those jaga that was there. So books and tongue is my hobby. If those days, when they even ask us to write hobby, I can write there speaking in tongue. You know, we were that rascal. You know, so I used to pray in tongue all around the camp. So I'll get some partners. Those guys, all of us just be praying in tongue everywhere. All those all those training they used to do in camp, I never attended any. I'm always speaking in tongue and reading books everywhere. So there's this girl that found me and liked me. Her name is Kemi. That one is a baby girl. She had never lived a house before. The father is a big boy in Intercontinental Bank. So she was this baby. I used to wonder, who raised you to be this? You understand? But she's so fascinated about my faith life. So she wanted to be close to me. So I would be giving her books. So because of me, she too will not go to all those. I didn't know she was liking me already. She has. Eventually, I realized that she has never liked the guy before. She has never had the opportunity of liking a person. So she feels like Richard is proper, born again. So she follows me everywhere. So I give her books to read, she will read. But somehow I was not really interested in all those. But I liked her also. She has money more than me. So she's always buying food for me. Always. You know, I was a big boy, though my brother loaded my pocket. And the way I carry myself, she believed that this boy too. She didn't know that I was from the village. I was just packaging, you know. So one day, both of us were going somewhere in the premise. We speaking in tongue together or something, or reading. We just had these people making noise in the corner. That was how we found out it was NCC. Let's go there. I've missed fellowship. Let's go there. Only for me to get there, everywhere very dirty. Why is this place this dirty? And people, they were worshiping inside the dirty atmosphere. The following day, I saw it again. So it's a norm here, not to have excellence, but don't forget where I came from, Koza. So I went to meet their president. I said, I found out that they don't used to sweep this place. That, can I take care of it? He said, all right. So the following day, the third day, I got there. I asked him if I can get a broom. So I got broom. I sweep the entire auditorium. I ring the chairs, clean it. Don't forget I was in benevolence before. And what kind of thing is it? Then I found out they have prayer department. So I walked up to them like, can I join them? They said yes. But my tongue is different from their tongue. Where did this boy come from? So one day, they were having, on a Wednesday evening like this also, they were having something they call Operation Push. Pray until something happens. So I joined them. Where I was at the back praying, tongue. Somebody just tapped me. And they put microphone in my hand. I said, what? They said, go to the stage and pray. He said, go. So I took the microphone. I held the pulpit like this. By the time I lifted up my eyes, more than half of the people were on the floor. Eh? Then those guys jumped into the people. Come and say encounter. So they came to look for me. Where are you from? What is it about you? So I returned back to my prayer. But I realized that almost every Sunday they give me this microphone just to pray in tongue. Then after the camp, or before the camp, they started calling me for different interviews. I was wondering, what are they interviewing me for? So the last day in camp, they invited me up that I was going to be the general secretary of the fellowship. I was even thinking maybe they say I should come and be prayer secretary because I so prayer, they pray. So that was how they brought us to Ogun State. And I came to Ogun State Family House. And one day, about 3 to 4 months into the service here, they were doing convocation in University of Ilorin. But prior to that, I've been having this contentment in my spirit that there's something more than this. There's something more than this. I don't know what that was, but I have unrest. So that day, the person came and he said, I attended Koza Ilorin. I said, oh, fantastic. How did you see my church? He said, that your church you always talk about, I was there. Man, excellence. I said, wow. He said, I met pastor. I said, which pastor? Pastor Wale Shweta in Port Harcourt was in Ilorin at that time. He said, Pastor Wale. I said, oh. He said, I even bought the message. He said, he preached down the roof. I said, wow, can I have it? I've missed Pastor Wale. Give me the tape. He gave me the tape. I didn't know that destiny is beckoning. I have a Walkman and a hairpiece. So I put it with my Walkman and lay on the bed, and he quoted from 1 Corinthians 1:24. Consider you called. In all the tape, I didn't hear anything apart from that scripture. Consider you called. It looks as if somebody is telling me you have a calling of God over your life. Consider it from today. What could that be? I went into sleep. I used to pray 3 a.m. every morning. I hope I'm not boring you. Okay. A church that will be forever, they must be able to trace its foundation. So, he brought me the tape and Pastor read from 1 Corinthians 1:24-27. Say, consider you called. Let me read it to you. 1 Corinthians 1:24-27. But to those who are called, both Jews and Greek, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God. 25. Because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. He said, for you see your calling, brethren. He read a particular translation that I don't know to today, but in that translation is consider you called. For you see your calling. There are not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, not many nobles are called. 27. Verse 27. He said, but God has chosen the foolish things of this world to put to shame the wise. And God has chosen the weak things of the world to put to shame the things which are mighty. I went to bed that night and only to wake up 3 a.m. to have my quiet time. We used to call it quiet time. But I used to wake up before the alarm. My alarm is 3, but I wake up like 5 minutes. How many of us like that? You always wake up before alarm. Only for you to wait for the alarm and stop the alarm. You know. So I woke up before the alarm and I realized it's not 3 yet. So I was waiting there for 3. Then I think I dozed off. You know, like your doze off in between. You know, I think I dozed off in between again. And I had a revelation. But wherever I saw, so alarm rang and I woke up again. Then in that 5 minutes I saw something, but I can't remember what I saw. So I became bothered. I was awake 5 minutes ago and I checked time, it was exactly 3 o'clock. So what happened in 5 minutes that I can't remember? And that revelation looks very long. You know, because spiritual things is eternity. So a lot of things can happen in that frame that will be beyond what happened in time if you are to translate it in time. So I ran downstairs to pray. So when I got downstairs, because we stay in NCCF, Papa and Uncle's room is upstairs. So we have our office downstairs. So I ran there to pray. So I began to pray in tongue to remember. And I had a tradition that if I forget my dream, if I pray in tongue, I will remember it. So I was praying in tongue from his mouth. So we're having the meeting. The meeting was going on. I carried my Bible. The Bible had a red cover. And the voice I used to hear, that voice just spoke behind me. Don't forget, it's now turned to 3 days dry fasting. What was David after? Meeting was going on, somebody was preaching. What was David after? I wasn't guessing. Immediately I opened my Bible. He quoted it for me one day. That voice used to quote scripture for me. I was after my father's flock. Then came a lion and a bear to pick it up. So I was wondering, so where is this scripture? And under God, nobody showed me. I just had a few flip and I saw it. Then I read it. One day I was after my father's flock. That is 1 Samuel 17:34. Give it to us. One day, I used to keep my father's sheep. And when a lion and a bear came and took a lamb of the flock, verse 35, I ran after and struck it and delivered the lamb from his mouth. And when it arose against me, I caught it by its bears. I struck and killed it. He said, your servant slew both lion and bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them. See, he has defied the army of the living God. And that voice said, what was the lion after? Lion after. I went back again. I was after my father's flock. Came a lion and a bear to pick a lamb. I said, the lamb. The lion was after the lamb. And he said, why? The conversation was in my spirit. I was answering back while all the drama, whatever they are saying there, I didn't even understand. I didn't hear. So then he said, why was the lion after lamb and not sheep? He said, isn't the lamb too small for lion to be after? I said, yes. He said, can the lamb be enough for the lion? I said, then he said, why is the lion? I feel like these questions are too much. I don't have answer. I don't know. Then he said, who is the lamb? I said, who? Who is lamb? Who? Lamb is not human being. Lamb is lamb. Then he said, who is Jesus? Who is Jesus? I don't know. Sometimes God is asking you a question. He's not demanding answer from you. So as I was saying, I don't know. He said, Jesus is the Lamb of God. He said, Jesus is the Lamb of God. He said, did you know what Jesus represents? I said, no. He said, Jesus is the destiny of the world. If Jesus had missed it, if the devil had been able to get Jesus not to get to the cross, he said the entire destiny of the world will end up in doom. I said, what? So what is the meaning? He said, the enemy is always after the destiny of my children. Go and tell them. Meeting was going on. Go and tell who? Where? Apparently that day I was to preach in orientation camp. And I preached, I think one of my first sermon I can't forget came by revelation. Destiny recovery. So I preached that day that your destiny is like the lamb that the enemy is after. See, you will definitely go to hell if you lose your destiny, because it will be difficult for you to make heaven. I shared the revelation God shared with me, and the whole place was on fire. We left that meeting that day in orientation camp around 10 p.m. and we drove to Abeokuta in the night. I can't forget, we got to Abeokuta around 12. And we got to Adigbe. We climbed up to sleep. And that person that used to wake me up again, gave me a revelation. Opposite the family house across the road, in that revelation I saw a shrine by the side. And as I was passing, I looked into the shrine. I said, this is where people's destiny are buried. Then I was so angry. I ran into it. I saw a lot of people tied down at different places. I saw idols. I was angry. Then they were looking skinny, poor, a lot of them without clothes, and I was so angry. Why will people's destiny be tied down in this place? So I stood at the middle of the shrine. I was praying in tongue. I prayed in tongue a lot, expecting the building to collapse through my tongue, and nothing happened. I felt like, when did my tongue become this watery? I was talking to myself in that revelation. Then I looked and I saw a big iron rod, and I picked it in my hand. And I had somebody quote, that person always quotes scripture to me. The kingdom of God suffers violence. Violent people take it by force. So I used the rod to destroy all the images in that place. I untie everybody in that place, open the door down, ask them to leave. So as I rescued everybody coming out of the shrine, that was how this person was wearing white, long white, looking at like an afar kind of person with a cap on his head. And put his hand on his head, started screaming, who has done this? Who? Taloshe, this, that. He will kill the person. And here was I in front of the shrine. So the moment I saw him, I took off. So he followed me. And in the same revelation, I ran into NCCF family house. So he caused trouble, brought police in the revelation. And all of them were waiting for me outside. So they brought all the coppers out. That where's the guy? They must provide him. So I ran into our room upstairs. And I saw a piece of white cloth on the bed. The night before, or a few days before, I was studying Jesus on the mountain of transfiguration. How his content has changed. So I saw the piece of the cloth, and I had that person always talk to me. And he said, pick this white cloth, remove everything you are wearing. He said, why, wear it. So I took it. You know the way we used to tie clothes in the village and tie it at the back. And he said, go downstairs now. I said, go downstairs. No. In SCCF, you can't appear like this. You dress properly to come out. That you can't dress this way. He said, go down now. So I went downstairs. And I realized nobody could see me. I was passing in front of everybody. I touched everybody, they couldn't see me. So I called one. And that person's eye was open to see me. And I said, who are they looking for? He said, they are the one they are looking for. They came to arrest you. I said, but look at me here. He said, they can't see you. He said, I'm the only one that can see you. I said, why can't they see me? Then, if the man is this powerful, why did he come with police officers? That means he's not this strong. He said, I thought he said he has juju. So I went in front of him, looked at him like this, looked at him, they can't see me. Walk in front of the police, they can't see me. And I heard a voice again telling me, a picture of what happened in Transfiguration, for you have been covered with glory. What? Then I woke up. Then the scripture came again. What you are doing in the shrine is to rescue people's destiny. I've made you a David to rescue their destiny back into their hands. It became a lot of, okay, I'm going to be a pastor. How? The journey continues. That was around July. I searched and searched December. I don't know what to do. One day, Pastor Benga, Adinli, thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank God for him. He's a good brother. In those days, we were not even close. He used to attend Winners Chapel. He went for Shiloh. That particular Shiloh was wilderness. Was on Eagle's Wing or something. I can't remember. Maybe on Eagle's Wing. So Bishop Abiye was teaching on wilderness experience. So he bought those tapes and gave it to me. So I entered into a retreat for 2 days that I don't want to talk to any man for 2 days. So I was in a corner with that student mattress, with earpiece, and I never spoke to anybody. If anybody comes to me to ask me for things, I write it in paper, give to them. I don't use my mouth to talk to them. I feel like if God didn't tell me the detail of this ministry, I will be here. If I want to die, I will die. No food, no water, no nothing. So I think the following day, in the afternoon, go to Romans 8. I went to Romans 8. He said, and they shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. Name it the Glorious Liberty Church. Hey, it's going to be a church. That's where they named the Glorious Liberty Church. Okay. It's in the Bible there. I don't want to bore you with time, but you can see it there. Then I was crying because I don't want to do church. I was thinking it's just going to be an itinerary ministry like that. And as I was reading, okay, where will I be? Where will I stay? How will I go about it? So I sat down, go to Onikolobo, start a Friday meeting, call it Atmosphere for Miracle. Start teaching dominion by the word of faith. I wrote it down. That day my diary was full. So that day, I think December 22nd or 23rd, 2008. Yes. I understood that I was going to be a pastor. And I was going to be a pastor in Abeokuta. But I was thinking, is it true? Now, the calling is too true for me. But location, Abeokuta, what am I doing here? The following day, I pressed it. I stood at this. I think not the following day. I think towards the end of the year, like 29. So I now decided to do prayer work. In those days, I don't have friends because I was into myself. I was searching for too many things. So I took a prayer walk. I go around through this Jakbo area. That was my first prayer walk. There's that river now. They did bridge there now. There was no bridge on it then. We used to jump over it. So I jumped over it. There were not much houses at the end there. So I realized that there were no much houses. I came back around 5 a.m. thereabouts. So I prayer walk back. And as I was approaching NCCF family house, I heard in my spirit, I have released you. Any delays in your path? I'm still in NCCF. Which delay in my path? How will I leave NCCF work and go and start ministry? And he said, 7 days of glory. He said, what is 7 days of glory? How will you do 7 days of glory? July 1 to July 7. The Sunday in between should be your first Sunday service. What? All detail given. I said, Lord, let me leave NCCF. And once I leave NCCF, I start. So I started designing the blueprint, studying, do my fasting continue. So, but this location thing, I'm still not sure about it. The calling have too many signs to attest to it, but this location does not. So one day, we were in Assemblies of God. That's where we used to have fellowship. On a Thursday, I was just tired of everything. So I sat down. Everybody stood up, praying. Coppers praying. Then, I had this NLT translation Bible. I just had this voice. Open it. That same voice I used to hear. So I opened the Bible. And what was in my eyes was Jeremiah 42 verse 10. Give it to me. You know, like, who has a hard copy Bible? Let me show you the drama that. Any hard copy Bible? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Martin. So I open it like this. Into 2. And what was in my eyes was Jeremiah 42 verse 10. NLT translation. Look at it, everybody. Stay here in this land. Eh? I closed it. That's too straight. Then I was like, what did I see? I opened it again. The same opened again. Stay here in this land. If you do, I will build you up and not tear you down. I will plant you and not uproot you. For I am sorry about the punishment I've had. And I cried and cried, closed the Bible. So you know you are putting me through all kind of punishment. Did you know I didn't put anything in between it? Then I went back home to go and actually check. And I can still remember what I saw. Then he opened back to me. So from that day, I came out of NCCF. I met one man. And I told him, God want me to start ministry in this town. And he want me to stay in Abeokuta, in GLCglobal. Now, can he help? Does he know any way around? And he said, have you been to Sweet Sensation before? I said, Sweet Sensation? He said, there's a small hall there. You can start from there. That was how I got to Sweet Sensation. And they told me someone just left the hall. It's now available for you. We started renting it 2,100 per hour. So I booked. I started the first conference called God's Blessed Zone in Global Crisis, June 5, 2009. It rained cat and dog that day. Everybody I invited didn't show up, except some few persons. It rained silly. And I felt like, full service. Rain like this. It looked as if I was not called. Maybe I don't know what I was doing. Then I told them that God has called me to start a church. I had this group of people. We were starting together. And in between the lines, I told God that, I jumped that area, that if you want me to do ministry, you are going to show me who to get married to. Because I don't want to start pastoring a church and be looking at the people calculating, is she the one? Is she the one? Is she the one? Then I had a debt that I incurred in Forex when I was in the university. It was 1.5 million. And I said, Lord, if you can take care of this debt, I'll see it as a sign that you called me. All of a sudden, that guy that used to threaten me, look for me with police, stopped calling me. The debt was waived. Then one day, when I was about leaving NCCF, I think around February. Yes, to be around February or March. And Sister Gracious, I met her in orientation camp when I was leaving NCCF. So she used to be close to me. I'll talk to her like I was seeing her like a mentee. You know, just give her scripture. I asked her one day, did you used to fast? He said, yes. I said, to what time? He said, 12. I said, why can somebody be fasting till 12? What kind of fasting is that? He said, maybe she has stomach cancer. She can't fast for long. Then she told me about the story of her family, how she's the first person to serve in her family. So I was touched. So I used to talk to her. So when she came to SCCF family, people were beefing her because, you know, due to the calling I have, maybe that was why I didn't have attention to like girls. So everybody in the family house, I don't have attention for anybody. And they all like me. So why is this sister always talking to that sister and not talking to us? So there's a lot of people beef her, but I didn't care. She would tell me, so person, they have an issue with me talking to you. I said, face front. What did do me pass all those ones? So one day she sent me a text message in the morning. Till today, I can't even remember the content of the text message. And Holy Spirit said, print. Before that time, Holy Spirit gave me an agreement, like 10 things the person that will marry me must sign to before I get married to her. And I said, what should I do to this? He said, anybody I showed you, you are going to give them the letter, let them sign. So that day, I've had that stuff on my laptop, show people, they will say, your own spirituality is madness. People told girls, you want to give them an agreement letter. You are too archaic. Get out of here. Is this one? So, she also had seen it on my laptop and looked like, who will sign this kind of thing? I'm sure she didn't know that God will be demanding her to sign it one day. So, after the devotion that day, I saw the message on my Nokia phone. One small Nokia phone like that. And the Lord said, print the letter and give it to that sister. Delta sister. No, that's... And I should go for Yoruba sister. Plenty Yoruba sister. Mama in family house. You know. And I used to have a friend back then in the university that were close in those days that I was thinking maybe or something. And so I printed the letter. I went downstairs. At that time, the Lord has given me a car. That car I used to talk about. Then I told her, come and meet me. I just called her. For where are you? She said, I said, come. So she came out. I was inside the car. I said, I'm inside my car outside. So she said, what's happening? Why are you calling me this morning? I said, I would like you to see something. So I brought out I opened the safe of the car because I've kept it there and biro. So I removed the paper. 2 copies. You will have one, I will have one. I'm not sure whether she still has a copy, but I think I still have mine. You know. So I told her, take this. She looked at it. I said, I'm not sure. I told her God asked me to bring it to you. I just gave it to her. I said, will you please sign it? He said, sign how? Then the next thing she was crying, where's your biro? Amen. Then she signed it. Then I said, you know what? God has asked me to do church. And I'm going to be doing it in this town. And I've left NCCF and we've handed over to the present president. I said, I'm leaving in the next 2 days. I said, I rented a house in town already. And I'll be leaving, I think the following day. I'm leaving tomorrow. I don't know if you would like to know the place. He said, okay. When you have the time, you can take me to the place. I said, okay. So I said, later today, if you don't mind, there was nothing in the house then, just to know the place. So I took her, I drove her down to Lantoro, showed her the place. Said, okay. So I came back, I told her, I'm traveling to tell my parents about the ministry. I'm coming back. That was April. So I traveled to Kogi State in April, told my dad. My dad felt like, wow, is that what God wanted to do? Okay, go ahead, do it. I told my brother, how about the Canada thing? I said, I think this is what God wants me to do now. He said, I've always known that I think you will end up this way. And he said, but I want to beg you. Say yes. He said, I know you like business a lot. He said, but I don't think you can combine this thing with your business. He said, will you face it? I said, will I face it? He said, promise me you will face it. He said, if you face it, I know you will do well. But if you want to do business and this ministry, he said, I can't trust you. He said, I promise I will give you 15,000 every month if you will face it. I said, okay, I will face it. Then, as I left my brother's house, they called me that the contract I won in Ogbomoso when I was in final year, 9.8 million, they have awarded the contract as you come and collect my money. And the Lord said, if you go, you won't come back. Is it temptation? So I came and I faced it. We started in Sweet Sensation. We were 9 months in Sweet Sensation. The days of no food to eat. The days where Sister Gracious allowance, 5,000. 9,775. So sometimes she would spare the 5K. We could use it to pay all rent. Sometimes we collect everything to pay all rent. For the first 6 months, we have no equipment. We're clapping. You know, I'd come to church and there was nobody to pastor. Nobody. No single person. And I've paid all rent. I will come out, go to the village, go to Ibarra Housing Estate, do house-to-house evangelism, talk to God. You know. Long story short, 9 months after, they increased the rent where we used to have. It became 15,000 naira. So I can't afford it. So, and I came out of this sensation that day, Lord, where will you have me go? I can afford it for one service, but we used to do 2 services. So I've been too proud a child of God that is it money that will make me cut service and say cut midweek service because I don't have money? Never. This midweek service will remain. Lord, Where will you want me to go? I can't forget. I came down from the step of transition like this. And that same voice spoke to me. That place you used to go to a wetland, go back there. Tell them you will pay per hour. I just drove down from that place, straight to that wetland. I met that woman sat on the chair like this, rolling. Before she said I should go and bring 500,000. Without 500,000, they will not give me. Don't forget, my eye has always been in GLCglobal because it said go to GLCglobal and start a Friday meeting. So I came back. He said, "Hey, you this boy." He didn't call me pastor. He called me this boy. "What did you want again?" I said 500,000. I said, "Excuse me, man. I have something to say." He said, "What?" I said, "In Swiss organization, we pay per hour. Can I pay per hour?" He said, No. You can't pay per hour. You can pay per use." I said, "Okay. How much should I pay?" He said, "How much do you pay in Swiss organization?" I said, "Where I use, I pay 2,100. He said, "It's too small. Some students came to use it before. They paid 5,000 naira per use." I said, "Excuse me, man. I don't need it for all day. I just need it for just 2 hours." He said, Okay. Pay 2,500. Voice. I said, "When?" He said, "You can start immediately." That was like, went to Swiss Organization, packed all our stuff and moved to that place. We came to wetland after 9 months. 24 persons in Swiss Organization came with us to wetland. So we're 24 after 9 months. In 2-3 years, in about 2.5 years, our attendance moved to about 150 to 200. Then the woman came one day and said, "We can no longer use the place. We should come and get out of that place." For what? What did we do? He said, "No, the husband said nothing. He wants to use the place and this and this." That was how they chased us out of the place. That day I was also frustrated again, sitting down in my sitting room. What will I do? At that time, Sister Gracious had stopped working because she was nursing Jai and she felt like she cannot be going to Ibadan. She was collecting 40,000 naira in those days. And it's the money we used to eat. Because I was a full-time pastor. There was no much. So the little she comes in, she can take care of Jai. I remember I didn't buy Jai one clothes until Jai was 2 or 3. Anytime she's coming, she will buy Okirika. Bend down from Ibadan. It used to be cheap, 100 naira. She will buy a gown. She will say she bought this. She will say she bought it. I will just look at it and say, this well low. Thank you. Jai will wear all those kind of things. Jai grew up wearing Okirika. Except anybody dash us anything, I'm not sure we just go anywhere and buy anything new. I never had a change of raiment. I wear the same thing I have. And that day I sat down. What will I do? I picked my Bible, Thompson's Chain Reference Bible. And the house we lived in they also gave it to us for free. Somebody heard that I was staying in one room. I didn't go through the story of that, my house in Lantoro. It's a story on its own. It's one room that I never had mattress, sleeping on the rug for about 1.5 years. The first mattress I had was when there's a pastor close to this place, Pastor Wale Akinrombi. He was staying somewhere close to this place then. And I'd met him. He played a major role in our life. He was a father that was standing with us in those days. And still yet. And that day, he told me that he was relocating from this place to Obantoko. And his rent was remaining 6 months. His younger brother was the agent in charge of the house. He now reached out to me that, Pastor Richie. I said, yes. He said, your church is here in Wetland. That house is just like 2 minutes walk to Wetland. He said, look at the house that my brother is living. Won't you like to take it over? The thought of 3-bedroom flats was depression to me. Where will the one I'm living in, they help me pay it. Where will I get money to pay 3-bedroom flat? In this place. I said, I don't have money. He said, but it's for free now. He has 6 months on it. Before the expiration of that 6 months, you will have raised money. My heart was beating. Should I take it? Should I not? So one day my brother was talking and I told my brother, he said, go and take it. I will pay. I said, you will pay? He said, yes. He said, how much? How much is the rent? 60,000 naira. So my brother sent me 60,000 naira that I should use it to pay the rent of that place. So we came here. When I came, my Toyota Carina E under God contained everything I have. Everything I have. I put them in a Toyota Carina E and I drove out of the house without anything remaining to pick. Except one long chair like this. That chair that NCCF abandoned, that I carried. I now call NCCF boss because it's long. He cannot enter Toyota Carina. So they helped me put it inside their bus, and they brought it for me. Everything I had entered. It was just one bag. When Pastor Michael came to that house, I noticed I did not have mattress. That was why he gave me one mattress. One student mattress and one copper sister to drop in his house. It will carry it, so it has sit into my life. How can Pastor not have a mattress? In the long run, I met Pastor Michael, Pastor Favor. They joined the ministry. A couple of some people who were just being rascal. But excellence was there. When they chased us to Wetland, Pastor Michael had been grounded in church. They were already minister. I didn't give the detail of how they all came. I think the longest serving minister in this church is Pastor Michael. He came first. Then he brought Pastor Favor. Yeah, Pastor David came. No, Pastor David came later. Pastor David came later. I was doing entrepreneur training somewhere. Pastor David met me there. Pastor David was a church secretary to a particular church. So when I came to do entrepreneur training, they said, who is this person? He came and he said, my mouth was too sweet when I was talking. So he sacked his boss. In that place, I said, if you have to find your cheese, I was doing a training. I said, if you have to find your cheese, you must sack your boss. So he sacked his boss. He sacked his boss and he came to me that he had sacked his boss. I said, so what will you do? He said he wants to go after the cheese. So which cheese do you want to go after now? He said he has 2 proposals. I said, which one? He said he wants to supply whiteboard and to teach computer training. So who do you want to propose it to? He said secondary schools in Ogun State. We were so rascal. I helped him to prepare the proposal. He carried it everywhere. Nobody answered him. But one person called him that he should come and teach. A principal of a school met him and said, come and teach me computer. So the principal was paying him, I think, 5,000 per month. And his former boss was paying him 4,000 per month. And this principal is only taking that principal twice a week for 1 hour. I said, can you see? So another person got, before you know it, he bought a computer, this Apoti computer. Then before you know it, John Best computer started. Then he had a shop. He bought a laminating machine. Collected, Brother David's story is another story entirely. Then John Best, boom, 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 boom. It's only one day that he saved money enough to buy land. He bought land in Laddery. He built a house there. All of us, Mr. Michael got married. Favor got married. But in Wetland, something happened. No, Savannah Bank. When we left Wetland for Savannah Bank, all our members disappeared because they were all students. So he remained 24%. Like our 9 months, 24. As if 24 was sent to us. And that 24% was the people I pastored for 1 year in Savannah Bank. I can't point to 2 persons that joined our church in Savannah Bank for 1 year. But the Lord told me, the reason they left was because there was no structure. There was no workforce. Bring everybody together. He said your church was a market before. Make it a family. So I started 2 services. The first service is training. So by the time, after 6 months in Savannah Bank, they gave us quit notice again. A friend of mine said, go and beg the man. I said, I won't beg him. I can't beg. I can't be begging God. I'll be begging man. So I did agidi. I told you about the prophecy, how we got this land. We got this place, but there was no money. I was praying in tongues, believing God, declaring we receive it, we receive it. We finished a service in Savannah Bank in those days. Miss Ambrose had joined the church. My wife and Miss Ambrose used to be neighbors. All these older people you see in church, many of them have been with me since that time. But all of us, we are just trying to get by. Mr. Michael was working in Anolu Secondary School. Your salary was how much?
10,000, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Ambrose was the richest man among us. I think Mr. Ambrose or Pastor Favor. Pastor Favor was working with Metropolitan. Mr. Ambrose was working with MTN. No money. I'm just saying that you just look advanced. Amen. And so where are we going to raise the money? Till Jesus come, there's no way we want to raise 1.5 million. We closed service that day. And this man that has joined the church just walked up to my wife and told my wife, God said I should give 1 million. My wife used to sit at the back of the church with Jai. She came to me with Jai. She said, hey, Dr. So say wants to pay 1 million. I said, it's a lie. Where did he get 1 million from? Do you know what? That time he was having a lot of issues. I used to go to his house to pray with him every Friday doing IVG. You know me too, I'm not busy now. Can I do IVG with your house now every Friday? Where did I have that? Well, that time, what did I get? He said, Pastor, can you be praying with me every Friday? I like to pray every Friday. Well, let's go. Every Friday, and then he's out. Madek Bago BCAC. Do you know that I will start that prayer from around 10? Many times. When Mama Baby closely, like 3 or 4. I will still be. You will make it. Anybody? And somehow, God has answered Baba's prayer. He didn't tell me. I wasn't going there and pray. So when my wife told me, I said, no, God has said, he will say, Pastor, let me put this in prayer. I'm trusting God for this. But somehow, I think some things we was trusting God for before, they were no longer prayer point. But I didn't pay attention to it. Long story short, he gave 1 million naira. He didn't just even give 1 million naira. He's a barrister. So the agent just called me that somebody want to buy the land, Pastor. And I just felt I should tell you if you still have interest. But we didn't have money. Holy Spirit, that voice helped my destiny. The voice just said, you know what? Tell him you have a lawyer, I should talk to the lawyer. I said, wait. I have a lawyer. Will you talk to our lawyer? He said, okay, can you send me the number? I said, our trustee will tell you what to do. He said, okay. I sent the number of the man. That's how I called the man. That Pastor Richard said I should call you, that you are the board of trustee chairman for Glorious Liberty Church. He said, yes. He said, about a land, because there are some other offers. He said, can you meet me tomorrow in my office? So the man called me that. The man said I should meet him tomorrow in his office. I said, really? I said, okay. Since he told you. He said, will you be there? I said, yes, I'll be there. So when he dropped, I picked my phone, I called him. I said, sir, he said you should meet him tomorrow in his office. He said, yes. Pastor, will you be around? I said, yes. He said, hey, so how much did we have? How much did we have? We've been saving for almost 1 year. Guess how much we saved? 300,000. I said, sir, all the money we have in church, 300,000. And out of that 300,000, we can only spare 200 because of this project that is coming. He said, bring the 200,000 when you are coming. Pastor Favor is not here. I called Pastor Favor, let's go to bank early in the morning. We withdrew 200K from First Bank. We took the money. We went to his office. The agents sat, waiting already. Then the doctor said, hey, Pastor, did you come with your car? I don't want to send Pastor on errand, but my car is not here. I need somebody to take this, my secretary, to so place. I said, okay. Pastor Favor, will you do it? Pastor Favor didn't come with us. Okay, let's go. I will drive you. So I drove the sister to Wema Bank. I sat at the customer services. The sister went in somewhere, came back with polythene bag. He said, Pastor, thank you, sir. We can go. We entered the car. We drove back. He came. We entered the doctor's office. He dropped the money on the table. As he dropped the money on the table, doctor said, thank you. Go. The doctor put the money under the table and brought packs of money. It's looking like it. And he brought 700,000. No, 500,000, I guess. Pastor, where's the 200,000 we have? I brought it out. And the land then was 2 plots. It's about 3 plots, but they are selling it as 2. For 700,000. You know, say, okay, we will pay half and pay the remaining half. The agent said, okay, no problem. I will take it. I will tell the owner that a commitment has been dropped. Then, the next thing that happened was the agent just like, okay. As the agent was about to stand up, doctors just say, wait. And reached out again and brought another extra 200,000. He said, before you say we pay for 1 plot and sell the remaining plot, we have paid for more than 1. And the guy put his head on the table. Bah! He said what he actually wanted to do was to go and sell the remaining 1 plot to another person that wanted to pay 900,000 for it. He said, but when will you pay the balance? The man said, so day. Come and collect the balance. Family, that same date did not change. He paid the balance. When the landlord at Savannah Bank was doing like this, God was working at this person. We came here 2013. Yes, 2013. It was full of water. And I don't know where to start. Then I called the same agent again. Sir, you told me you were into construction. Can I buy sand field? I need like a few for church to just pour on ground so that we can stay. He said, Pastor, you will need like 4 or 6. I said, 4 or 6. I said, how much? He said, 15,000 per one. I said, we can't afford it. We did not have. I said, will you help us bring it? I will see. I will trust God for it. The man came to pour the 4, making 60K. So they called me that they have dropped the 4. So I was thinking, where will I get money to pay this man? Where will I get money to pay this man? Then I picked my phone. Sir, I was told that you have dropped the 4. He said, yes. No. I didn't know. I came here and I saw 4 on ground. And I said, I saw that they have dropped 4. That's 60K. He said, yes. I said, how should I pay? He said, don't worry. It's my commitment to church. What? That was the person I was supposed to pay commission to. I was in tears. It was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. By Friday, the man died. As if he just stayed alive to give us this property and give us a space. So we came. We asked 1 or 2 persons to help us spread the little. We didn't have enough money to ask people to spread it. And I asked our 24 people to come every day to be using our leg to press it down. We were doing 3 days prayer and fasting. So in the evening every day we'll be using our leg to rammer it. So we actually use our leg to form the first base of this church while praying in tongues for 1 hour 30 minutes or 2 hours every day. So we're renting canopy and put on the side. Until the time came, we could no longer afford a canopy. So I told them, let's be doing open heaven service. So we come very early in the morning. Before sun rises, sometimes the sun will beat us. In the evening, the bamboo will have stretched. We meet under the bamboo, put our chair close to the bamboo so that the shade of the bamboo will form the shade of ours. Anytime it rains, no service that day. Until one day again, I was praying in tongues and the Lord showed me a picture of something that looks like a tent that has 3 tops. I said, what is this? Then after the prayer, I called a friend of mine. Is there a tent that has 3 heads? He said, yes. That I saw it somewhere. One person, the first person I called. And I said, where is it? He said, it's in Treasure House of God. I said, where is Treasure House of God? He says, in, I think, Quarry Road. He said, when you get to that roundabout in Agbalaba, go to so place. I entered the place. The same tent I saw in vision was the tent that I'm looking at. Hey, he's here. Then I met a man. He has small white beards like this. I said, hello, sir. I said, so, where are you? He said, I'm Pastor Femi. I don't think I can forget. I said, do you pastor here? He says, the resident pastor here. I said, excuse me, sir, I want this thing. He said, oh, we made it. I said, who made it? He said, the person is in somewhere around FMC. He gave me his number. I went there. The person charged us for 300K. Where will I get 300,000? I came to church. I said, by the grace of God, God showed me a tent we want to have. And we want to, it's 300,000. Immediately after service, somebody walked up to me and handed over 300,000. We bought a tent, but the ground was still marshy because we didn't have enough money to do proper sand field. The guys that came to install tents pegged the tent. As they put armor, the peg enter inside. He said, sir, this tent can't stay here. I said, why? He said, it can't stay. Can't you see that the ground is too marshy? It needs a ground that is very hard. I said, it will stay. He pegged the tent and moved to the back. Kata, sata. You will stay. You will stay. The first service inside the tent. We mounted the tent on Saturday. I invited some pastors in town. They came, big men in town. Pastor Daniel Dini, Reverend Akimbo, one other person again. They all came to give me morale. Uluwaloni Bisi was a guest minister. Some copper sisters that has loved me because I'm always connected to NCCF came with cake. I don't know where they use cake to do. Everybody came with cake. Nobody ate that cake till today. Pastor, why? What happened? Well, guess what? As the service was about to finish, we had finished service, glorious service. Oluwaloribisi has ministered everywhere apart. And as we are about sharing the grace, I just gave microphone to one of the pastors to share the grace. So I now lie down on the floor to give thanks to God. Like, dreams do come true. Over the time that no bread, so the ground is mud. The ground is this laterite, red all of our body. But miracle, no, the entire Jesus. You know, and that's why we have always been packaged. We have TV like this that has stand for projection. One at this side, one at the other side. The stand was a bit higher than this one. 2 iron stand like this. And some other stuffs that are standing. As we lie down to give thanks and share grace, that person now decided to sing a song. Kobamati Kori. Maybe his song was the one that invited the Holy Ghost. As he was singing, we give you glory, and we actually enjoyed the atmosphere. That was how one terrible wind came from that side. Holy Ghost. Sincerely honor God, I can't tell the experience because I was with my white clothes I was wearing. I was lying on that muddy floor in giving thanks to God. And God, thank you for this place at large. We even have a tent. The next thing I had is my mommy, my daddy, the tent, the breeze had taken the tent up and collapsed it. There is this, those 3 heads, they are actually very big rod that was sustaining the tent. It was falling on my head. And one person, till today, I don't even know whether Emmanuel or somebody, just saved my head and blocked it narrowly. It will have crushed my head on that place. Do you know I didn't lift up my head there? I was there. I cried myself happy. I cried myself happy. Who sent you? What are you looking for? Why don't you? And then there was a church beside us there. They looked so successful. In their tents, they wood and roofed it up. We managed to come out of the tent. And we stand it again. So we can't stand it properly. I called the guy that helped me, that sold the tent to us, to come and help us stand it again. He came and he said, Pastor, this tent can stay here. I said, sir, the tent has to stay. Where am I going? The tent will stay, sir. He said, he can stay. I said, the tent will stay. Mount it back. He mounted it back. I went back home. It was Sunday evening. I took a walk out of the house. I walked towards Amazing Grace, as if you are going to a doctor's office in Ibarra. I took that road, that drug place. I got to a drug place and turned back. And the voice I used to hear, I visited today. Hey! Don't tell me you visited. Visit where? Visit where? What kind of visit? I didn't pray all the while. I didn't say you did evil. I didn't say you were watching. But are you telling me you visited? Forget story. You didn't visit anywhere. Then he said, how did you think the experience was when I visited in Acts of the Apostles and the Bible said the windows and the house were vibrating? I said, really? Then my voice became low. Then as that was happening, he said, you heard Pastor Daniel preached. I said, that what? He said, Billy Akani had an experience on his wedding. And I remember what Pastor Daniel told us about Billy Akani. God told him not to do cake for his wedding. He said, people will say this SU thing has scattered my head. I will do cake. God said, no reception. I said, I will do reception. Why will you say, what will I tell church and say there's no reception? God said, okay, we'll do reception. So while they were doing processional hymn after service, he said, God said, because I want to visit, so don't do reception. He visit, which is don't do reception. He said, why they were doing processional hymn as the couples were going out, he said that was how there this terrible earthquake-like thing that came with so much wind, pull away window. He said, where pastor passed through, where members pass through. He said the canopy they put outside, the cake, everything scattered. He said, Bila can he manage to gather his wife and escaped? He said, and God said, did I not tell you I will visit? And God said, the same way I visited him is the same way I visited you. He said, mark today, the tent will never come down again. Family, till we pull away that tent, he was standing. Then the Lord reminded me I'm supposed to start another church. And I went to Egbeda in Lagos to look for facility. I spoke to a prophet and he said, move immediately. So I was to move in that tent. So I came to announce that we are starting another church in Lagos. Blah, blah, blah. And I came back one day. I used to pray in tongue under the tent. And I got under the tent. And the Lord said, if you go, you won't meet this place again. Eh? That same voice again. You said that. He said, because there's no structure in this place. No structure. I just came back to church. I said, we are building. I went to get a bricklayer. I drew paper like this. That was how this theater of wonders was built. Amen. Can you see where we are coming from? Today, we don't just have this campus here. We have in Aja, the Takeover Church. We have in... Okay, I can get started first. I started what they call Surge for 1 year. And one day, let me tell you, this story is very interesting. I went to do Surge. I did not have a car. So I was to come back. We had that Surge at this garden at Ikeja. In Dubisi something park. Doctor, so when he finished, my guy saw me off to Secretariat. So I crossed the road. And I can't go to park because I'm always looking for Sole. So I crossed the road to the other side to take Sole to Abeokuta. And the Sole we get to interchange. Shagamu. I will enter Shagamu. Stop at interchange. Cross to interchange and get here. I'm talking about 3 years ago. That Lagos church, about 3 years now. The year before the lockdown. We started the church shortly before COVID. So, as I crossed to the other side of the road to get the bus stopped. I entered. So, I was the one at the back on that seat that is on top of tire. It was a very terrible experience. Then they carried the bus full of crayfish. That particles all coming on my head, my body was, they were talking, those who were shouting, they were shouting. I just finished such. In the bus, they now sent me picture of what happened. They now wrote underneath it, GLC Lagos. I said, no, it's not GLC Lagos. It's such we're having. And I busted into tears in that place. God, is this becoming a church like this? See my situation. How will I even start? Where's the money? See the car. I came down from that place. I think it rained again. The rain beat me to the other side. So I came back and Pastor Mayako called me and said, how was that meeting you went for? I said, Mommy, look at this. He said, that is a call to Macedonia. Go there and start a church there. The following Sunday, GLC Lagos started. We didn't have equipment. We roll it. That church today has splitted into 3. From there, TTC came out. From there, Yaba also had come out. Did you know under God, GSC Abeokuta has not paid rent for any of our campuses before? It's a good place to clap. The first time we came on TV, GSC Lagos paid for it. GSC Lagos got that property they have now. They spend more. They paid it on their own account. TTC started. I think, okay, we started TTC from the place. Yaba, Obada here. And we are taking steps to the next one. This is a ministry that started with one person, then two persons. Sister Gracious and I used to call her Endurance in those days. ND. We roll it and roll it and roll it and roll it and roll it. One day she asked me, when will this church stop looking like a fellowship? No matter how much we do outreach, we'll be 2 or 3, 4. I pastored 3 kids and 1 adult for about 4 months. I had single-handedly shared 1,000 handbills, and nobody still showed up. Nobody, no one. I just felt I should let you know. Amen? That this is a story of how we started this church. What's the morale behind this story? There is nothing small that starts that will not be big if you can stay on it. All my contemporaries went to look for work. I stay with it. It doesn't look like it. But I didn't beg to eat last night. God has blessed me. According to Jeremiah 42 verse 10. When I get to heaven, I'm going to tell him, thank you for showing me the scripture. I was living in my 1-room house with that 3-bedroom flat, and I carried my only inheritance, Thompson's Chain Reference Bible. I think that Thompson's Chain Reference Bible is with our comfort now. A lot of people have collected that Bible. No. It's not the Bible. It's another one. That's Thompson's Chain Reference Bible is still in my house. You can't, if I even dash you now, you won't want it. The back has torn. Water has poured on. I wore it out. There is no page inside it I did not have my handwriting in. And I kissed it. You have brought me this far. I had temptations in the middle. Twice. A Babalawo met me at Lantero, and he said he wants to do jazz for me so that the ministry can blow. And he told me pastors used to come to him. I should help. He should come and help me. Pastor, where did you meet him in the first place? I'll let you know. I was to drive into my compound. And here comes this Baba in a Afar dress. He said, my son, don't park there. Don't put. I said, this is my house. I want to. He said, no, it's a corner. He got, oh, okay, what do you want me to do? He said, I should move the car somewhere here, open the gate. Okay. I did that. So after I took the car in, I was to lock the gate. He was still waiting at the gate. He said, come. He wants to help me. I said, Eshisa. I said, nothing. He said, tell me anything. I said, nothing. I'm okay. He said, have you heard of Alpha, this? He was so proud to say because I think he was popular. I said, no, I've not. He said, how come you've not heard of? I said, I have not. He said, he's the one. I said, okay. Then, to leave me alone, Munisa, I am pastor, so. He said, that makes it good. Ofidani, and when I Lati Oshogbo, Lati, that was the way he was telling me. Lati Oshogbo, Lati Oshun, Lati Ibadan, Lati Kini. We need the church will grow. He said, where is the church? Like joke. I just looked for a way. I said, excuse me, sir. I don't do that. I just make sure I didn't embarrass him. I just left him out of the place. I entered my room. I said, Lord, don't forget I entered that same house that has no mattress. I lay on the bed and spoke in tongues for 6 hours. The second one was when I was in Wetland here. There was a man. He lives directly opposite Wetland. He has a small kiosk where he lives in. And he told me I was facing the Lord. That's why he's in that kiosk there. It's not a house like all these kiosks where people used to make shop. So he was living inside the house. He now called me one day I should come. I went there. As I entered the Wetland, he said I should come. I went there. No, he crossed the road to come and meet me. On Saturday, I was inside the compound. And he said he has been looking at me that I'm very diligent. that he sees the way I used to go in Goma. He said, but the church is not growing. He said, now he wants to help me. I said, which help did he want to give to me? He said he was in choir in his church. That is, I don't want to mention the name of the church. That will not be as if I'm abusing them. He mentioned the name of the church. He said this elder there too. That what he wants to give to me, they do it. That is how they do it in their place. I said, okay, what? He said, buy this, mix it together. He said, the church will explode. I said, sir, that is a ritual. And I looked at him. I said, sir, where I came from, they don't insult elders. I said, but when I see your leg in this place again, I will insult you. That year you are jadi. He didn't spend 1 week before they found him in that place, and his tummy became bloated, and he died. You can't help God to do what he asks you to do. Did you see yourself in my calling? Did you see yourself in my story? I let you know where I'm coming from. If you ever see anything today in me or in my wife that you admired, it is because we got them by grace. I think the day of honor for my wife will come, because it takes a stupid person to believe in that ministry the way it looks in those days. Maybe she didn't marry me, she would have married another person in an oil company in Lagos, because she had an uncle that wanted her to marry someone else. You know, I preached somewhere today, and I was preaching to them about faith today, early hour of the morning, around 10. And that place I was preaching was actually the place my wife was announced was a sales girl. They were looking at me as, Pastor. I said, can I tell you a story? I said, I have a word for you to know that I'm not always like this. I said, here where I'm standing. I said, Sister Gracious was a sales girl here. Her salary was 14,000 naira. 2010, 2011. You were there for how many years? Like 2 years. Till we were married, you were still there. Yes. Or about to. Yes, till we were married, I guess. Yes, till around 2012. Until one Bapaderemi in NCCF told my wife about a company in Lagos that was recruiting. That brother is very good. Bapaderemi is such a good man. He still refer people for job till tomorrow. Was the one that lead my wife, connect my wife with Fana Freak. And they gave her a job to be their marketer in Abeokuta here. Later they realized that there was no market in Abeokuta, so they moved her to Ibadan. That's how she got to Ibadan. And her salary became 40,000 naira. You know, we didn't always start this way. We had struggles. I wake up most of the morning sometimes, and I'm looking for who to help me push my car and just start it to start, because I never have a good battery and I can't afford it. I've never bought a new tire. If the tire got spoiled, we look for Tokumbo to buy 2.5, 1.5, 1.7. My brother looked at my car one day. He said, is your car always on red? Because I've never bought fuel more than 500 naira. Just tontolo inside it. I drive speaking in tongue. I was coming from Egbeda one day, and we did not have money. And my wife said, why don't you talk to your brother about it? I said, no. He said, but there's no fuel in this car. It was on red in Egbeda. And I said, take your eyes off the gauge. I spoke in tongue from that place till I get to Abeokuta. And I drove the car into my compound. The following day to drive the car, it cannot start from there again. I have seen miracles in different forms. I have learned to trust God with all my heart and lean not on my own understanding. Don't forget, there were not so many people. I was not this close to PB that I can reach him to ask him questions. The only thing I've always done in my life was to be focused. Ask Sister Andy in my language of the past. She has never seen me cry before. She has never seen me in a condition before. They will say, what is wrong with you? And always bubbling. I will rather cry in the presence of God than cry in the presence of man. I have never begged a man since this ministry started. If I beg a man, let the person show up and say, you have sent me a text before and say, help me. I have never sent text to anybody and say, we are stranded. Can you help? Never. Pastor Michael is here. Pastor Favor is here. Ask any of them whether I've ever told them before, go and bring your salary. Go and bring this. And we are stranded. I've always preached faith from this altar. When the altar was wood, I've been preaching faith. And I will be screaming, if our life remain like this, then Jesus is not Lord. I have always been boosting my energy with faith and scripture from beginning. I found the scripture, in the days of your power, people shall be willing. My commitment is to raise people, and people will rise for the work of the ministry. I have a news for you. You may be under the sound of my voice. God has called you to do something. The same way Richard starts. Be bold enough to take a step. I don't know what God has called you to do. It may be ministry. It may be whatever. It may be business. I don't know whether I bore you today. But I think it's just a call to somebody. Don't forget, I can't share everything in detail. I just speak the aspects that pertain to ministry. If I give every detail of it, some of you will be crying to tell you the things that we've been through. When we cut our fish like we want to cut our finger off. Because we need money. And we can't afford to eat with the little that we have. I will let you see when I use giant school fees to do Days of Glory. It's not once, not twice. I've used giant school fees many, many times to do Days of Glory. I have received letter in Giant's bag before. Come and pay school fees, or else this one. And come true by miracle. I have put for sale on my car before to build church. I put for sale, packed it in Yanoloke. And put bottle of water on top of it. Not because I want to sell the car to it. Because the building project was too slow for me. Let us sell this car. And nobody bought the car. There was a time Evangel drove my car. Drove. Somebody will buy, we negotiate today, negotiate tomorrow. Nobody bought. I put Ford for sale. I put Lexus for sale. I don't think there is a car I've driven that I've not put for sale on it. I will even print it and put my phone number and stick it and be driving it everywhere I go. But God was printing to me at every point in time. I don't need you to do it. I will do it myself. If you give up, I don't know where you come from. You come from a lineage that don't give up. Have you been indebted, or are you indebted? I've been there before. There is little you are going through that I've not been through. What? Tell me. I told you that when Jaya was growing up, did not owe me anything. Or I didn't owe her anything. All her clothes was okrika. Bend down. My wife will bring them to the house and be pouring hot water on it. So give me what? Should I blow your mind? Did you know we can't afford diaper? Ask Sister Gracious what she used to do to it. Do you know what we will do? We will buy 1 or 2 diaper. When our daughter has used it, oh, I don't even want to mention this. It's making me emotional. We will tear it. We will cut it at the mouth. We will pull that stuff inside out. We will put napkin, towel inside it. That was what we used for Jaya. Anytime it's wet, my wife will remove it and wash it. We only use diaper for Jaya anytime we are in an event or an occasion, where she cannot be changing the napkin. But all through, because of that, many times we won't go anywhere, because how did you go to carry this girl anywhere? Napkin at that age. You will see her, you will think it's diaper she wore, but it's not diaper. We chook the napkin. I don't even know where she got the strategy from. She will chook the napkin inside the diaper. Under God, my wife has never put me under pressure for money. We have to do this. They called me my wife's family one time. Mama will be hearing this for the first time. My father-in-law was sick, and they needed to pay a house rent. They did not have money. And my wife told me I need to give towards it. I did not have. She was crying. People, they will be looking at me in my family like, hey, you cannot. I said, see, I don't have. It's not probably I don't want to, but look at it. Where will it come out from? I made up my mind that I was not going to be down. I don't know how they see me in those days, but I know the way God sees me. I'm not that kind of in-law anymore. Nobody need to pinch me, bend me to bring anything out now. No! But guess what? I've been in places. Maybe you've not even gone through half of what I went through. Don't forget, I'm not supposed to be like this. They were paying for my visa to go to Canada. That time, it was not difficult to travel. Very easy. I was to write IELTS or whatever you call it. And boom, I would go. My brother was to sponsor everything. My brother eventually traveled. He lives in Canada now. But I would have been in Canada before him. That was 2009. Then I was doing business. In service here, I was making money. My brother bought car. I gave him, I think, 150,000 to add to the money he used to buy his car. But I left some things behind. I wore one shoe for about 3 years. It was the guy, they call him Spirit. I don't know whether the guy is still there. Opposite, beside Navy boys in Adigbe. They call him Spirit shoe. He's the one that made that shoe for me. I wore that shoe for 3 years. No other one. 3 years. Most of the things I wore are dash. The tie dash. Shirt dash. In those days, I used to go to my brother's house to pick shirts to wear. Where will I get money to buy? Then later I found one brother that used to sell Lukrika shirt for me. He will say it's grade A. I will put starch in it and iron it and wear it. Today I can't remember the last time I bought clothes. If you see me wear anything, it's a gift from sons and daughters. The same stone the builder rejected become the chief cornerstone. My uncle said there is nothing good that can come out of the ministry that I should go and face, I should go and look for work, that I'm lazy. Those people now, they spy me every day. I'm sure they will be saying it's just that my hair is too thick, that is not God. If I will go like this, you won't leave this place. I will not stop one testimony from another. I will be picking and picking and picking and picking and picking and picking and picking. The story of how we built this is a miracle. When we get to any stage like this, how do we do it? 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 You just say alert. Some of the alerts, we never know who sent them to today. Some we will know months after the money was sent. Now GLC is about to start a school. Somehow. It keeps going. Keeps going. You know how many people are listening to me now? Look at you. Look at those people online. He didn't call me for me, he called me for you. That's why I told you the story. How he called me all the way from Mugbe at the backside of Kogi State. But I came with purpose. All the things I went through was for a message. And he brought me your way. When all of us were dancing, you see I didn't dance much. Thoughts were just rolling in my head. If I had not yielded to the call, Angela will not be here. Shoremeko will not be here. Omi Akinloye will not be here. Grandma will not be here. Maybe I wouldn't have met my wife. If I'd been in Abuja when I wanted to go, maybe I would have been in Koza's Piodun Fatoyinbo's protocol. I'm still yet. Did you know, in these days of glory, a Koza protocol came to meet me. He said, once a protocol, it's always a protocol. Because I was still serving him. All protocol, when they see me, they leave me. You know what? I do things. You see me stand when something is going on. I will snap things. When you don't use phone, it's as if they just leave the boy. It's different. I will show you on Sunday how when he calls you, he also calls people with you. He calls you a mentor. He calls you peers. He calls you people. The people that you need to bless. The people that will bless you. And the people you look up to. The 3 lines of people. Today, listening to me, or have access to, are these 3. He has sent somebody to walk the land so that I don't have to be afraid in walking the land. Amen. I told my father in the Lord, this school, maybe we will wait a little bit because we have days of glory. He said, who say you should do that? Stop it. Take a step of faith. I have never done anything having money. He said, I've always walked by faith. Go and start work. Very soon now, we are adding more building to that building. The design is done. I think it should be done today. Tomorrow. Did you have money for it? No. We don't even have money for days of glory yet. And you are doing another thing. It seems, why are you under pressure? But can I tell you something? The reason we were able to get to this place is because we put God on pressure by faith. Ladies and gentlemen, you are young listening to me. I was 23 years old when I received that ministry. Whatever you want to do, do on time. Do on time. Do on time. Whatever you want to do it on time. Face it. Don't say, hey, until I am 23. Whatever you want to do it on time. I got married at 27 to Sister Gracious. We shared the same age. Maybe my own a few months before. And we run the race. Whatever God asks you to do, do it quickly. The Lord saw Judas. And Judas did not betray him on time. Judas was still doing. Do you know what Jesus told Judas? He said, Judas, he said, friend. No, not even Judas. Friend, whatever thou doest, do quickly. I'm in a hurry. Keep me on time. If Jesus was in a hurry to die, why are you not in a hurry to fulfill purpose? This is not the church you stumble to by accident. God has raised me as your David. When a prophetic word is coming, see a David rescuing a lamb from the mouth of the lion. And let no man take this honor to himself. To God be the glory.